Hey, I have a rare treat for you guys today. I am actually going to let Kevin, aka Mr. Tidbits, take over my channel. He wants to show you some of the snacks that he makes for our kids. Now, when he quit his job and came home, he determined that's one thing he wanted to help me with. He believed if we made our own snacks from home, they would not only be more nutritious and they would be save us money, basically. So I have kind of let him do that, and he has been making some really fun things for our kids and for our family. I hope you enjoy this little Mr. Tidbits takeover.
Hello, Mr. Tidbits here. As Cammie said, I came home with the intent on helping my wife and kids out and preparing food around the house and decreasing our grocery bill. So we came up with 5 snacks that I really enjoy making for the kids. And I'd heard like neighbors or people that I knew complaining that during the summer their kids would just eat everything in their house and they had no idea what to feed their kids. And I'm a firm believer that if you give them wholesome, nutritious food that's not something in a package, that they'll eat less of it and it'll be more nutritious and healthy for them. So I came up with these 5. First, we're gonna start with some fruit leather. This is the one that goes the fastest. The kids are down in about a week if I don't make enough. And so I've done watermelon, I've done some straight strawberry and applesauce mix. I don't sweeten anything because if they're willing to eat it without the sweetener in it, they'll eat it with, as fruit leather is saying. So I don't sweeten anything. You can add a little honey if you want a little more taste to it, but I don't think it's necessary. So to start with watermelon has a lot of water in it, hence the name watermelon. And so you got to strain off that liquid or else it'll take hours to dehydrate and it'll just be too thin when it's done. So we'll go ahead and dump this into the strainer. I just use a regular steel sieve, blender, food processor, whatever you want to use. And so the liquid you're straining off here can be used to make a really good homemade watermelon lemonade or a drink of any kind that you'd like. So get as much liquid out of there as you can so the dehydrator doesn't have to work as hard. And when you're done, you'll just have a nice thick pulp right here. I have my dehydrator sheets. I use parchment paper. I made the mistake of using wax paper once. Don't ever make that mistake because it'll stick right to it like glue. You need parchment paper, or they sell silicone mats, but I like the parchment paper better. So then we'll just sit there and just dump that right on. You want to be about a 1/4 inch thick. Too thin and it just breaks. It won't dry properly. So you want it to be about at least a 1/4 inch thick for that reason. And now that's ready for the food dehydrator. So for another fun fruit leather I take some applesauce. Again, it's not sweetened. I add a little bit of cinnamon, I guess, to it, and that's about it. Applesauce, then I just throw in a few strawberries with it to make a nice strawberry apple fruit leather. I'll blend all that up together, and I don't have to strain that one. It just goes right onto the pad. So here's our food dehydrator. I set it at 135 degrees and come out and check it in about 6 hours. It's once it's no longer liquid, you got to kind of touch the middle. If it's sticky at all, it's not ready. But it should take between 6 and 8 hours. The next one we're going to look at is I make some delicious frozen banana pops. Summertime, it's blistering hot out, the kids need to cool down. Instead of giving sugar water that's frozen into a popsicle, you can give them a banana pop. And bananas frozen taste just like ice cream. They're amazing. The kids love them. So all you're going to need for this, some bananas, popsicle sticks. This is homemade yogurt. If you don't make your own yogurt, you can also use just store-bought Greek yogurt. I recommend just getting the plain. That way you control how much sugar's in it rather than just buying the sweetened stuff. I just take a little bit of maple syrup and I'll sweeten our own yogurt. Just a couple tablespoons or so, just to give it a little bit of sweetness. You already have a lot of sugar in the bananas, but it's just nice to have a little bit of sweetness on the yogurt as well. The thicker the yogurt, the better. Okay, so that's ready. Now what we top it with is I'll put a little bit of, that's chocolate mixed with some coconut oil. I have some nuts ground up. These are cashews. And just for a little bit of fun, I put some sprinkles on there. And so the first thing we do is grab yourself a banana. I've got my helpers over here cutting them for me. I just use a half a banana. Just dip it right in the yogurt. You want to get it good and thick on there. And then we can put it right into the nuts. Just give it a good roll there and you got an amazing nut sundae. Put them out on a tray. You want to get them in the freezer pretty quick. And then after about, letting them sit in the freezer for at least 8 hours, take them out and put them in a bag so they don't get freezer burnt or go bad on you. They will turn a little brown if you don't get them coated real good and thick, and that's fine. So this one will drizzle a little bit of chocolate on there. Okay, another thing I like to make is jerky. The kids love it, they just eat it up, and it's, if you buy it in the store, it's incredibly expensive. So I just take some ground beef, this is actually buffalo that I have, mix some spices in with it, and I bought a jerky shooter. Basically this squirts out jerky the right width that I like and the right thickness. I just get my dehydrator tray out and lay it out in nice, even, 1/4 inch thick strips. It's important to keep the jerky as uniformly thick as possible. It'll all dry at the same speed. Okay, so that those trays are now ready for the dehydrator. There's a billion recipes online for jerky. I use a different one every time just to keep things different. But basically, mix in whatever spices you want. Put it in the jerky shooter. Put it on your trays. I put it in the dehydrator at 165 degrees. And it usually takes about 6 hours. If you overcook it, it'll turn into just basically solid chunks of dried up meat that are almost impossible to eat. You really got to watch it. So after about 5.5, 6 hours, take it. If you bend it and it doesn't snap, then it's good. But if you feel it and it just doesn't feel, it still feels wet kind of, it's not quite there yet. So you want it to be able to bend easily, but not to the point where it just feels wet. So yeah, it should take about 6 hours and then it's done. I put it in a bag in a freezer just to keep it better preserved for longer, and the kids just eat it right out of the freezer. Okay, so we'll move on to the next one. This is another one my kids just love. Whenever they can get a chance, they'll eat it up. So what I do is a trail mix, but you can buy it from the store. Again, you don't know what's in it. They do a lot of fillers and a lot of just stuff that really isn't nutritious for kids. It goes right through them. There's also a lot of sodium, salt mixed in there. I prefer to know what's in my food, and so I buy all the ingredients and make it up, and you can get creative. I start with, the main ingredients is just blanched peanuts. They're not salted, they're just blanched peanuts. I also throw in some banana chips and raisins. Those are my 3 most important things. And to make it fun, I got some roasted cashews, some pepitas, which is a tree nut, and because the kids beg me, I throw in a few M&Ms. I don't go crazy on those, but I throw those in. Those tend to get picked out pretty quick. You can also throw in some other things, be creative about it. You can throw in cranberries. I've thrown in sunflower seeds, pumpkin seeds, anything like that you can sneak in there that the kids don't always like alone, but if you mix it with other stuff, they might eat it. Surprisingly, my kids like raisins when it's in a trail mix. And so, okay, so first we'll just get a jar that you can seal off. I use this jar, it's got a little lid that seals on top of it. Kind of keep it from going stale. We'll load it up about a third full of peanuts. And see where we're at. You can add more or less. Then we'll go with banana chips. And you can get any of these at any grocery store in the dry bulk foods section, or probably right next to the trail mix that they sell. And then we'll throw in, you gotta be careful of your helpers or else they'll eat everything as you're putting it in. Quantities, it just is a gut feel, however much you want to put in there. As little or as much. And then the favorite part, we'll throw in some M&Ms. And then I put that lid on and just kind of stir it up, try and get it all mixed up in there. So yeah, just keep mixing it together. You can put it in a bowl and mix it together if you want to. But once it's all mixed together, it makes a pretty good looking assortment. And then what I do, my kids will down this in a day if I'm not careful. So I will leave a third or a half cup measuring cup, whatever you want. And so then they have to scoop it out, and whatever they scoop out, they've got to eat. So they're not fishing around for M&Ms. Leave it on the table. There we go. So that's enough for a snack in a day. And you can see that'll last several weeks. And they're ready to go. And another thing I like to make is granola. I make a lot of it because the kids love it. And Cami has a recipe on her blog called Use What You Got Granola, which is basically oats, nuts. The liquid is coconut oil with maple syrup. And then you add in whatever variety of things you want to add in there. The kids, we use it for breakfast, pour a little milk in there and just have milk and granola. We like it as a topper for yogurt or just as plain. The kids like to eat it. In fact, as I'm making it and it's cooling on the countertop, they're in there eating it about as fast as they can sneak it before I catch them. So that's the last thing that I make for the kids. I hope these 5 snacks will help you guys out as much as they've helped us, both nutrition for your kids and also keeping money in your pocket. And management has told me to say that make sure you subscribe so we can keep sending you more inspiration for the keeper of the home.